it was one of the funniest, like most iconic things I'd ever heard. He's saying, "Whoa, Nelly." I was just going to like take it to show Liza at home. I wanted to show my wife, and we were landing. It had gotten a little bit dark. So it was that auto flash that came on for a video. That never happens to me.
I mean, such amateur behavior. You better stick to Southwest. You're going back to Southwest, all right?
He didn't talk to me the rest of the trip. Welcome to Fitz and Whit, the show where I let you know Harvard is now a cross-country school, not a football school. Were we ever a football school? We lost to Yale in the game, but Graham Blanks, congratulations. He won his second straight men's cross-country championship Saturday. Take that, LSU. We are brought to you by DraftKings. The crown is yours. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so you never miss an episode. We now have over 5,000 subscribers.
Let's go.
I think that's, I don't know. I've heard that's
good. Is that supposed to be good? I don't know.
I don't know. We need more. Leave us a rating or a review wherever you get your podcast. We absolutely love your feedback, and Big Whit loves getting in Twitter beefs now, as we've seen.
You've
recently.
changed me. You've changed me for the better, Fitz. I'm on Twitter now.
Yeah, it's fun. I absolutely enjoy it, and I know so do you. You're getting a little carried away with it, though. A little too many arguments, I think.
No, I like it. Yeah, it's good, fun banter. But look, man, coming up also on the show, we're going to explain why I think the Giants might have ruined Thanksgiving by cutting Daniel Jones. Judge Whit is back. He's going to rule on who would win in a cage match. J.J. Watt versus Greg Olsen.
Ooh,
what a match.
That.
I like
that.
And we're going to discuss if the Chiefs are going to be able to shake it off. And we know this story all too well. Fitz, let's get into it, brother.
Are you a Taylor Swift fan? Is that why you just threw in those references?
Hey, I have been to a Taylor Swift concert, so okay. I am a fan.
All right, I went to a Taylor concert pre-Travis, so I've been a fan for a long time.
I'm a groupie.
Let's start with Cleveland, man. It was epic, but going into it, we see the game on our schedule, 2-8 Browns. The weather looks like it's going to be absolutely awful. Rain, wintry mix, cold, all kinds of wind, and it ended up being what I think is the best game that we've had in our 3 years of doing TNF. Would you agree with that or no?
I think it was definitely the most fun. I mean, I don't know that I walked away from a game that we've done, and in the hotel lobby afterwards, everybody was like in such a good mood and had such a blast. It just felt like one of those epic games that, like, man, you came in pouting the whole ride over. We're flying out there. Everybody's moaning and groaning about doing the game. And you leave there and you go, I love this place. What an awesome game. What an awesome electric atmosphere. Those fans and everything. It was sick.
Yeah, and I would say going from no snow and actually pretty good weather in the first half to coming out in the second half and there being essentially a whiteout. You could just see, I mean, the interest in the game was incredible after that. The biggest thing for me and my biggest takeaway, yes, Jameis, yes, the way that Cleveland battled, but the Browns fans, I expected a few things. I expected to see a lot more Steelers fans because the Browns obviously 2-8 going into the game, bad weather. Hey, let's give up our seats and Pittsburgh's going to take over the stadium. We've seen that a lot of times in our careers in different places we've played. That didn't happen. And then as the game went on, as the weather got worse, there wasn't an empty seat. It didn't matter if it was lower level, didn't matter if it was upper level. The Browns fans live for that weather and live for those moments. And I walked away from that thing so impressed by Cleveland.
It was, dude. That was insane. I mean, really, honestly, it's multiple times we've been there now and had an epic moment happen. I think that I got a whole new respect for that city and their fandom behind sports. And then obviously your boy, Jameis gave us another one, man. You told me about it. You said, hey, look. Jameis is one of those guys, like, it is what it is. Like, that is just authentically who he is. And you're like, there's no way this has got to be rehearsed or practiced or something. He gave us another amazing pregame speech. What is it? The horse is prepared for the battle, but victory comes from the Lord.
Oh, my God. That one was probably rehearsed, but it was more – it was when Kaylee asked him – about playing in the snow, and his face just lit up like a Christmas tree. It's who he is, man. And I'll tell you what, a funny story about the green room. So I was the only one that picked Cleveland. I went lone wolf.
You did.
Feeling pretty good about that. But the green room in the second half, it felt to me like Rocky IV. We're in Russia. It's the 12th round, and Rocky has now won over the crowd. The green room was chanting for the Browns to win this game because everybody wanted Jameis on the desk.
Look, we're super competitive. You know that. I mean, listen, we get into this every week. Y'all see us make our picks, but in the green room, it gets heated. I mean, Carissa will drop a couple every now and then. She gets mad when her team's not going to win. And I'm telling you, that game was heated at the first half, and then it's exactly how you describe it. In the second half, it's like all of a sudden everyone's cheering for Jameis for this epic moment for them to win this game. No one gave a crap about the picks anymore. It's like, we want this dude on the desk. We want him to have a chance to just talk to him, ask him questions. He'd won us all over. There's no doubt about that. I mean, authentic joy, man, just the passion and joy he plays the game with. We talk about leadership, people you want to walk in a room with. You want to walk in a room with Jameis Winston. I mean, that's the kind of guy he is.
There's no doubt, and he didn't disappoint when he came onto the desk. But I think you see it, when you play your former teams, as Jameis did recently against the Saints, the amount of guys that came up to him after the game, giving him hugs, loving up on him. Same thing when he plays Tampa. All those guys have so much respect for him. And it's what you touched on, the authenticity. He's the same guy every day. He's a goofball. He's a clown, but he loves football. He works his ass off. And all of that, some of the things he talked about on the desk really come through in the way that he leads. So that was a lot of fun. And then towards the tail end, those interviews start winding down. And it was like, how are we going to finish this interview with Jameis? What's the perfect way to cap it off? And you had a wonderful idea of diving off the desk and doing Snow Angels.
Well, it just felt like the right moment, right? We were in Cleveland. Nobody wanted to be here to start. We ended up with snow, our first full snow game. We had Jameis Winston. The way he played, how electric all that atmosphere was. It was like, hey, I asked the producer, hey, is it okay if we go to Snow Angels? He's like, dude, don't ask, go. And I said, Jameis, will you do a snow angel with us? And he went first. I was shocked how fast. He was like, let's do this. It was like he'd been thinking about it too. And we dove off, man. I went in there head first. I must be feeling pretty good. I don't know if I've ever dove like that on ground. I don't know. I can think, as a big fella, you don't do that very often. I must have been feeling like a little kid in the moment. I went just, you know what? I dove headfirst in the snow, like I was 12 years old myself.
That's the power of Jameis right there. That is the power of Jameis. The two comments that I got the most of, one was, why didn't Tony do it? And we just got to explain. Look, Tony's got a condition when he gets cold. He's got a condition. His fingers and his toes don't work. His mouth sometimes stops working, and he gets really grumpy. So he was being Scrooge over there. And then the second one, I was getting a lot of flack, and I think you started this way too, or maybe Jameis did, the face down snow angel instead of rolling over to the back and doing it. I don't know. I grew up in Arizona.
Yeah, can you explain?
I betted a lot of snow. I don't know.
Okay.
I was enjoying myself a little bit. But the best, there's a video that comes out of it, and we'll have to put this video up at some point. But we start having a snowball fight. And there's video, your first throw. I don't know if it was errant. I don't know if it
Jameis is eating dubs.
You threw your snowball right into Jameis's crotch from like point blank range. And I'm going back to the story of you being a gooser under the pile, thinking, my gosh, you were playing dirty with snowballs too.
Hey man, listen, you gotta have a little fun. I was trying to throw it. I actually was about to hit him with it, and then I realized the cameras were filming his face. And I was like, I went from throwing it in his face to trying to like let it go, and went straight to the crotch with it. But you know what? Hey, I've never been claimed to be a quarterback.
Yeah, he rallied.
He'll be all right. But listen, that was epic. It was really cool. The whole game, everything, the snow, I think we all walked out of there as like, man, what a week. But also another positive to the week, Fitz. Accountability check. We got our 10,000 steps, baby. Come on. It was 30-something degrees. It was windy. We lucked out. There was no rain. We did get a little sleet here and there. We got over 5 miles in. We went kind of toured around the West Side Market. Unfortunately, it's closed on Thursdays. We made a tour of downtown. We got the Rock Hall of Fame in. You did a little band music with some people. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was super fun. I played the tambourine.
Yeah, you did a great job. I thought you had some great enthusiasm.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and then the last thing on the Cleveland trip before we get going on some of the games this week, I thought I did a pretty good job with the Air Al airplane.
Oh, Air Al, that's right.
So we talked about it last week. I had all those questions. I was on my best behavior, and I feel like I would have a passing grade.
I feel like you have a very bad memory if that's the case, because I'm going to tell you right now, listen, I feel generous. I feel like the offensive line coach in a game where, we went out and it was a close finish, but we gave up 8 sacks and we might have won the game, but you know what? We didn't play very well. And so I feel like,
what are you talking about?
Listen, a lot of infractions here. Let's start. Okay. I actually made a list of a couple of your infractions. Okay. One, all right, we get on the plane. It's like you've never been in front of food before. The lady sets out the smoked salmon and kind of the little buffet on the. You made multiple trips to go get smoked salmon. Like no one can even enjoy their seat because you're like, excuse me, let me get out of my way.
Al said, "Help yourself to the salmon." So I helped
Not
myself
4 times. You 4 trips to the buffet. We're all trying to relax on the plane. There's too many people. You're making all these trips. Excuse me, getting through to get salmon. It was too much. And then the constant. Listen, here's something you have to understand about the flight. In the front of the plane, we call that first class. Okay, That's up there with the 4 seats. The rest of the plane is the economy section. That is where you are supposed to be sitting. All right.
There was no curtain. There is no curtain,
but it's an understanding that you are in economy. When Al walks back and has conversations with us and enjoys a little dialect, just wants to have a good time, let's chat it up a little bit, right? When he walks away, when he turns his back, you don't try to keep the conversation going. He's going back to first class. You now stay in economy. That's your job. And you kept trying to tell him a story, and he's trying to go back to his seat to get on his Zoom and work on the game, and you're still trying to tell the story. Sit down and leave him alone. All right?
He was brushing me off?
Yeah, you were trying to tell him that you knew I know Stefanski. I played against him.
No, I didn't just say that. I hopped on his Zoom. I took one of his
I know you did. You leaned in to his Zoom to show Stefanski you were there. Amateur. All right? Okay. That was infraction number 2. Really?
There's not more.
That's 2A, because 2B is also, I got pictures of this that the fans will get to see. You also kept leaning up over Carissa and Al's seats, trying to tell them stuff like, you are in economy, stay in economy.
Hold on. Carissa was doing a crossword. She needed help on the crossword.
I understand that. And you need to tell her she needs to come back to economy if she wants you to help her. You stay out of their section. And number 3, which was by far the most amateur move I've ever seen.
I know what this one is.
You know exactly what this one is. We have a pretty bumpy, rough landing. All right. It's bad weather in Cleveland. Everyone's had those before when you're landing. It's kind of bumpy going down with all the wind. And Al is just being Al. He's saying some whoa Nellies, and he's being entertaining. And you decide, the amateur on the plane, first timer, you're going to pull your phone out and try and get a little sneaky video of Al being funny.
This was bad.
And folks, he did it. Yep. His flash was on. And his flash immediately shines in Al's face. So Al sees it, and then he throws his phone. He tries to throw his phone back in the back of the plane to act like it wasn't him. And I caught a picture of you trying to get the flashlight off. But, such amateur behavior. You better stick to Southwest. You're going back to Southwest, all right?
Well, I flew Southwest on the way home. But that was horrible because it was one of the funniest, most iconic things I'd ever heard. He's saying, whoa, Nelly. And he's doing the whole deal. Here we go. Whoa, Nelly. So I was just going to take it to show Liza at home. I wanted to show my wife, and we were landing. It had gotten a little bit dark. So it was that auto flash that came on for a video. That never happens to me, ever. And you're just sitting back there making fun. I knew that one I screwed up. The other ones I had no idea. He didn't talk to me the rest of the trip.
That was rough.
Let's talk about the games today. Your Rams got absolutely stomped. Not by the Eagles. Saquon Barkley My God. He goes 26 carries for 255 yards, 2 touchdowns. Oh, and he adds 4 catches for 47 yards. That's over 300 yards of total offense. This dude, we got to see him play the other week versus Washington. He was impressive then. He's even more impressive now. You've been calling for him to be thrown into the MVP race for months now. You've been calling on him to be thrown into the MVP race for weeks now. I think he finally declared he should be one of the top names, even though he's not a quarterback.
There's no doubt about that. I mean, he's on pace for over 2,100 rushing yards in the 2024 season. Listen, the guy is really special. You can tell that there's a confidence and a belief in himself of, you know what, the Giants let me go, but I'm going to go prove myself in the next opportunity. And I think everyone probably knew before this season that there was a chance this could be really dynamic, because this Philadelphia Eagles offensive line has been really special for a couple of years now. And you think of how good they've been able to run the football with Jalen Hurts already. And then now you enter Saquon Barkley, who is a guy who was one of the upper echelon runners in this league to begin with. I think it makes total sense, the success they're having. But this Eagles group, if you talk about Saquon, his impact, and then the guys they have on the outside, you know, with A.J. Brown, and even Devonta Smith wasn't available for this game, with Jalen Hurts, and then this defense, how they're built up front with Jalen Carter, and then seeing some of these rookies play the way they've played on the back end. I think that this Eagles team is one that I've continued to say that, yes, the Lions may have the hype around them for how they've kind of performed all year since the jump, but this Eagles team, slowly but surely, is dominating people, is finding more ways to win games, is showing what they're capable of. They're going to be built off a defensive line, a Vic Fangio defense that's gotten better and better, and since their bye week's been one of the best in the league. On the other side of the ball on offense, since the bye week, they've been the best rushing team in the league. They still got all the weapons to throw the football over you if they need to. I just think by the end of this season, we may be looking at Philadelphia Eagles, Detroit Lions in an NFC championship. And I don't know if there's that much of a difference between the two teams as people think, because I think that both teams are built in the trenches. They're both built with a lot of players who can make plays on offense. But defensively, I think I might lean towards the way the Eagles have been playing. Without Aiden Hutchinson, I think the Lions will miss him big time in a matchup like this when it's two great groups up front against each other. I think this Philadelphia Eagles team could get themselves in the conversation of being one of the last two teams standing in the NFL playing in a Super Bowl the way they've been playing, because I love their style and I love the trajectory of where their team's headed right now, Fitz.
Yeah. And poor Joe Shane, you know, I will always remember
every
him
week
now.
Gets worse.
Yeah. I mean, being on Hard Knocks and having the conversations with Saquon and ultimately making the decision that Saquon just wasn't going to be in the cards. You know, if somebody was going to, they let him go to the market. If somebody's going to offer more money, maybe he would give the chance to match. But credit to Howie Roseman. I mean, he's done it again. It seems like he does it every year, but he brings in top flight talent, potentially the MVP of the league this year, and he has completely transformed this Eagles offense to be probably the most explosive offense in the NFL now.
Yeah, I think they're going to be held to be dealt with. And I think this Eagles team might be my favorite now. I think it's between them and the Lions, but I'm leaning towards the Eagles. I love Saquon Barkley. I love his juice. I love his energy. I love that smile. There's just something about him, man. He's an easy guy to root for.
Let's talk about the Chiefs and the Panthers. Look, the Chiefs beat the Panthers, but Bryce Young he did a pretty good job.
I'm telling you. Hey, listen. Had his best passer rating of the season versus the Chiefs. You know, I think, man, you look at it, what he's looked like since he's come back in the lineup, really, after that break. I think what's cool about it is we've had this conversation on the set at Thursday Night Football, and then we've also a lot of just, behind the scenes, us talking about quarterbacks and what we think the way you develop it is. What I think is really cool is, Fitz, you touched on this. I think this both kind of proves a little bit of the point Sherm always talks about, about developing, giving guys time to sit and watch. And then you've always kind of said that veteran quarterback that they get a chance to watch. And you look at this scenario, a little of both happened. Like he played early this season, struggled. Andy Dalton, who is like a pro's pro. I mean, you're talking about somebody who's going to do it all by the book. a great example to sit behind. And one of the things you always touch on is not just to watch the veteran, but the veteran quarterback actually like gets people the ball and actually like helps people develop, like some of the young receivers, some of the skill, the offensive line all of a sudden comes to life, the running game, like things start to kind of come to life for that. And there starts to build this confidence in the offense. And then you put Bryce Young gets his opportunity to go back in there. And it's now this group now has a little confidence of what they do and how they do things. And now Bryce comes in. He's had a chance to watch Andy operate. And it's like all of a sudden he's playing with kind of a calm and a poise and bringing some energy and juice to the offense. And so I think it's cool to see him have this second opportunity this year, the offense being a different place and him continuing the positive vibes of they're playing really well.
Yeah, sometimes when you're playing and you're struggling at quarterback and your team's not playing well and you're getting criticized from every different direction, it's a little bit like being in quicksand where you can't get out. And the more you struggle and the harder you try and the more you fight, you just keep falling down into the quicksand. And so with him to be able to take a seat to watch Andy, that happened to me quite a bit in my career where I was a starter, then I wasn't, then I went back in, then I wasn't, then I went back in, then I went to the bench. The best example I can give you, 2014, Bill O'Brien. I'm on the Houston Texans. It's his first year. I start the year. I end up getting benched maybe halfway through the year, maybe 5, 6, 7 games in. I take a back seat to Ryan Mallett, rest in peace, for a game or two. And just to be able to take a step back and watch from the sideline and to, just catch my feelings, to relax a little bit, to calm. I came out when I went back in 2 games later, 6 touchdowns, no interceptions. And so from that time, every time that happened to me in my experience, you use it as a good thing. You use it as okay, I get to now hit reset. I need to find my confidence. And then when I go back out there, these are the things that I'm going to do to play better. And you could see it right now with Bryce Young. And in a way, Anthony Richardson, same way, he struggled a bit today, but we saw a good performance out of him last week. And it's not a bad thing to take a back seat, hit reset, work on some things, work on yourself, and then go out there and play again. But I want to talk about the Chiefs. I want to talk about the other side because this feels like me and you both agreed last year, and we said it on our show on Thursday Night Football.
Tony was mad at us.
He was pissed, and so were the fans. The Chiefs need to lose some games.
Yep.
And I think at that point they were maybe 6-1 or 5-1, and they lost 4 of their next 6. But we saw it as a good thing. We saw it as a good thing because sometimes when you're winning games and you're skating by, you're not addressing all those little things that are building up. And when you lose, you have to take a step back and address them. Well, the Chiefs 3 weeks ago, they beat Denver by blocking a field goal. And then last week, they lost to Buffalo. And then this week, they win by 3 points. Last second field goal to Carolina. There's some things going on with the Chiefs that are getting swept under the rug right now because they're winning, because they're, skirting out these games, but they're going through it again. But the problem I have, though, because I said all this last year, I didn't think they were good enough to win a Super Bowl last year. What'd they do? They proved me wrong. So what do I know? They're probably going to do the same thing this year. They're going to win all these close games. Highest winning percentage, 1 possession games for a defending Super Bowl champion ever. 80% of their games are winning by 1 score. But they're going to do it again. I'm sure they're going to win the whole thing. But again, I don't think they're good enough to do it, even though they're the best team in the AFC and in the NFL right now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's been some things that have shown up. I think there's some moves, though, I do like. One, you get excited Pacheco's coming back. I think offensively, he's just a guy that brings a lot of juice to that offense. I mean, you look at their playoff runs, when they've really been rolling, there's just some kind of energy. They all feed off of him, the way he's constantly running. Even though it feels like he gets tackled, he gets up running, which I love, is that he brings something to them. I think there's always those roles guys have on a team, and he is the energy bunny, kind of the energy bus for them, if you will, that just feels like they all feed off of him a little bit when they're together. And then I actually love this DJ Humphries move. I mean, if DJ's healthy, this is a difference for them, because I've said multiple times this year, the Chiefs, really, their success level could come down to the left tackle position. Like eventually in a game, it's going to cost them some of the penalties and mistakes, and just never really, they didn't hit there as they thought they would in the draft. And then even the backup hasn't played as well. And I think this DJ Humphries thing, if he's healthy, DJ Humphries is a heck of a football player, and that adds another element to them to be able to give Patrick more time. And he's an athletic guy. If he's healthy, they can do some things with him that they couldn't do with other guys. So I'm excited about that move, because I think when you start to add some of those pieces, it just looks like another situation where Kansas City just finds ways to win, and then at the end of the year, they've got the right guys in the right spots, and they're just tough to beat. It's what they do. Now, what I do say that it is concerning 2 weeks in a row defensively. Teams have been able to hold them off the quarterback for the most part. They've given a game win. Really could have been a game-winning opportunity for Carolina to be able to go down there and tie the game up like that, take it, with a chance to go to overtime. I mean, that's something you don't typically see out of them. And so there is concern, but you know what? They're the Kansas City Chiefs. We're going to get to see them this week. And Fitz, you think there's a chance you're going to get to meet Taylor?
You know what? I'm not even going to bring it up, Whit. I don't. Yes, I care. Yes, I would love to, Travis, if you're listening.
You don't care, but Travis, if you're listening.
No, you know what? I'm not too concerned about that. I've got other things I'm concerned about. One is I put out a tweet I made a list. I mean, every time we put out tweets, there's controversy, right? And sometimes there's fun conversations, and sometimes
you love to
not.
stir controversy.
You know what, though? This one was a fun conversation. So I came up with a ranking system. I've got my brother, Sean, who you know very well, on Excel, throwing in all kinds of different data to come up with a ranking for me. And this is my top 8 teams without taking quarterback play into account. So we're talking about the defense, the ability to create turnovers. We're talking about the running game minus the quarterback's rush yards. Nothing to do with the pass game, nothing to do with the receivers. But I feel like that encompasses what you talk about, which is the trenches. That encompasses putting quarterbacks in great situations to win. Here. So the top 8 teams, Lions, Vikings, Steelers, Packers, Eagles, Chargers, Niners, Bills. That sounds pretty dang good. And the Niners sticks out a little bit. It feels a little goofy, but the other ones, it's great. And the thing you notice, 3 of the top 4, NFC North, man. NFC North. And so they all are playing a very specific style of football right now. And the reason that I'm looking at things like that is because these teams, regardless of quarterback play, have the ability to win every single week. And it is the quarterback that's going to be the one in the playoffs. If he can get hot, whoever it is, can bring them all the way to the Super Bowl. I truly believe that with all 8 teams on that list. Now, the 49ers may not make the playoffs, but watching the Lions today beat the Colts 24-6. I mean, they just another win. They move the line of scrimmage. Jared Goff is so efficient. But even without Jared Goff, looking at these statistics and the things they can do in these rankings, they're tough. The Packers were the same way when they beat the Niners. They blew out the Niners today. Jordan Love was pedestrian. 13 for 23, 163 yards. They scored 38 points. I would have loved at some point in my career to throw 13 completions and score 38 points.
You didn't get to do that much, Fitz?
I didn't get to do it much. And then the Vikings, and this was an interesting game. And, get the Bears getting an onside kick at the end and all these different things. But it led to the Vikings beating the Bears 30-27. All 3 of those teams, I think you would put Jared Goff one, in terms of quarterbacks there, right? Would you go Goff, Love, Darnold, or how would you rank those?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd go as far as the NFC North. I mean, I'd go Goff for sure, and then Love, and then Darnold. But I mean, I think Minnesota's sneaky. I think they're kind of sneaky, man. They got some talent on offense.
I agree.
The right matchup. I think, and we all know this, if by chance they get a home game, it's a tough place to play, but it looks like they're going to be a road team. But I still think they have that ability. I mean, Aaron Jones has played in a lot of football games. He's won a lot of games. He's played in a lot of big moments. They've got the guys. I mean, they got 3 guys between Hockenson and Addison, obviously, who is unbelievable, but then Justin Jefferson, I mean, just, one of the best receivers in the league. I mean, they've got the ability and talent to beat anybody. Now this Cam Robinson injury is big.
Yeah.
I mean, Cam Robinson injury is big, though. I mean, we saw how they fell off when Darisaw got injured. I said that when we had their game. This was going to be huge, and it has been a big impact. And Cam Robinson is helps fill that need a little bit, but he got injured as well tonight. So hopefully he's going to bounce back and be okay. But yeah, when you look at this list, I mean, I think Jared Goff and the Lions are still, to me, the NFC favorite. I just think that, in my opinion, the Philadelphia Eagles, as I said a few weeks ago when they started running the football the way they have, they are slowly creeping up that list where
my goodness,
this might be an Eagles-Lions NFC championship, and the trench love that will be going on, the amount of O-linemen and D-linemen that will be watching that NFC championship in just all their glory, because this is what it's about. Two teams that are absolutely built on who they are up front before they're anything else, and this would be a fun one to watch if it ends up that way. Getting some holiday shopping done this weekend? Pick up some touchdowns. They're on sale at DraftKings Sportsbook. DraftKings has Doorbuster Profit Boost and Bet One, Get One promotions on all types of touchdown bets.
The Ravens are favored at the Chargers by 2.5 points on Monday. Jim and John, the Harbaugh Bowl. I can't wait to see this. The Battle of the Harbaugh should be a fun one on Monday Night Football tonight.
Grab some TDs with DraftKings Sportsbook. They're on sale from Thanksgiving through Cyber Monday. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code FITZandWhit to opt in. That's code FITZandWhit. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Well, speaking of Saquon, his former teammate, I want to get into this a little bit, Daniel Jones. This was one of the big stories of the week. So, we've heard everything. Daniel Jones gets, put on the bench, and he goes from second to third to fourth. However, he fell in the depth chart. He's playing scout team safety. I feel for the guy. Everybody says, well, he's making $40 million a year. Who cares? You could see it on his teammates' faces. You could hear it in his teammates' interviews. I mean, this is a guy that's been a leader of that locker room for 6 years. And I actually really love the little statement he made. He took about accountability. He said, look, I haven't been good enough. Let's start with that. And he knows that he hasn't played well enough, but it is tough. I had a lump in my throat thinking about him having to go into work that next day, to go play scout team safety and, just to be there and be around his guys, but to be in a completely diminished role. I'm really happy that New York released him, because I think it puts him out of his misery a little bit. They didn't have to do that. And my advice to him, I wouldn't sign anywhere. I would just take the rest of the year and just because unless you've got a playoff team and they lose somebody down the stretch, I don't think there's a reason to sign as a backup somewhere. I don't think there's a reason to sign on a bad team and go play more games. This is one of those moments where he truly gets to hit reset in his career, relax a little bit, take the offseason, find a good landing spot. And he's the type of guy that could land on his feet. He could have that Sam Darnold type resurgence with the right scheme, with the right place, with the right coaches. But he's got to play a lot better than he has.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was cool to see him take ownership. And then, obviously, if we talked about, I hate in these situations when people want to take their pot shots on guys for, whatever it is in the scenario. We've seen it all week. But to me, it's like, listen, we have to keep something in mind here. I've seen people like all the takes about the money he got paid and everything else. Like last time I checked, it's the teams that make the mistakes, not the players. So the player didn't say, hey, pay me this money and I'm going to go mess it up. He had all the intention in the world of playing quarterback at the level that the New York Giants would play winning football. You can tell that from his message. If you have a problem with the fact that he got paid whatever he got paid, that's on the New York Giants. That's not on Daniel Jones, okay? Because any of us in any walk of life or business or anything you do, if they offered you pay a lot of money to do something you thought you could do really well, you're taking the money. So it's not you who's like purposely screwing over people. It's the organization who made a bad decision. And if you feel like they made a bad decision, it is what it is. But Daniel Jones owned it. He took accountability. And to me, if you're somebody who has a problem with someone who says, I'm sorry, and takes accountability, you got issues. So I'm a fan of Daniel Jones, man, in the sense that he owned it. And I wish him nothing but the best moving forward. And we've seen this happen. We saw Russell Wilson with the Broncos, Jimmy Garoppolo and the Raiders, Matt Ryan and the Colts, Derek Carr and the Raiders. There's been these breakups that happen. But it doesn't mean your career is over, Daniel Jones. So go get it, man. Believe in you. And if you believe in you, you know what? I expect nothing but the best for him, man. I hope that works out. And we will see, baby, because only time will tell in this league. That's for sure.
Yeah, well said, Whit. Well said. The players are real. The conflict is real. The rulings are final. This is his courtroom. This is Judge Whit. Judge Whit, we've got a case to bring before you. Dan Orlovsky was talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers, how they're not a top 3 team. You can't beat teams by only kicking field goals. J.J. Watt weighs in, and he says, well, actually, they just beat Baltimore by just kicking field goals. And then Greg Olsen from out of nowhere comes over the top, and he says, well, actually,
off the top rope.
Historically, JJ, these are the stats, and you shouldn't be able to beat people with just field goals. Greg, we got you. But what I thought, this would set up a little grudge match between these two. Got a little tail of the tape here. So I called one of my friends. He was a strength coach when I was in Houston, one of JJ's good buddies who's seen him work out daily, to see if he likes JJ or Greg Olsen in this fight. Let's take a look.
You're looking at the Rattlesnake, Stone Cold Steve Austin, right to you live this Sunday. Why am I watching J.J. Watt? Why am I watching highlights? Well, the bottom line is this. I can't scroll through my Twitter feed, my X feed, whatever the hell you want to call it, without getting blown up about this beef, this online Twitter beef between Greg Olsen and J.J. Watt. I got people asking me all day, hey, Stone Cold, Stone Cold, Stone Cold, who would win? You hear about the cage match? What cage match? You got Greg Olsen, J.J. Watt? I mean, all over some field goals? Is that what we're talking about? I got Ryan Fitzpatrick blowing me up. Who would you take, Stone Cold? Who would you take? I mean, you're asking me about a cage match between these two fellas. I know something about cage matches. Now, there's a reason why I would go with 9-9. I've seen them clean 405 from the ground, no straps, no belt, nothing.
No straps.
I've seen them get hurt in the weight room on a Monday. I've seen them walk, can't even walk, Tuesday, Wednesday, hops on a plane, Saturday goes down to Jacksonville, he sacks Blake Bortles 3 times, and a Sunday win. The guy is a freak.
It goes on forever with him. But
where do you come up with this stuff?
There's no time. But here's my thing. So, okay, there's the JJ side of it.
That's JJ's argument. I need to hear Greg's.
I want to present you with the Greg argument.
Okay.
Well, let me start by saying Greg went to the U. We know that, right? I mean, that gives him a little bit of street cred there. We know about his reach. He's got the advantage with his reach. I didn't know this, but G-Reg was in a rap group called the 7th Floor Crew. Now, there's a side to Greg I didn't know existed. And if you want to know this side, I want you to go listen to some of these rap lyrics, because this is not the polished Greg Olsen.
G-Reg, all right.
He's got a side to him. Now, I'll just say a couple more things, and this is more bashing JJ than it is Greg. I think JJ's lighter right now than he's ever been. I think he's become soft because of fatherhood, because he now owns a soccer team and spends a lot of time with them, and because of his newfound passion for wakeboarding. Let me tell you a couple other things about JJ that people don't know. Every toilet seat in his cabin in Wisconsin is heated. And I still think he's dealing with some lingering issues when he jumped through the table in Buffalo. So my thing is, I like Greg. I like the side of Greg that we're not sure we really know yet. And I don't really believe in JJ
Crazy
anymore,
Greg,
because I think G-Reg, we'll call him.
Okay.
I think JJ has changed. I don't think he's the same 9-9 that Stone Cold thinks he is in this fight.
I mean, heated seats, heated toilet seats, a wakeboarder, and a big stationary bike guy. Against G-Reg from the 7th floor in Miami. He's got the reach advantage. Let's not forget that. Oh, this is a tough one for Judge Whit. Here's what I would say. It also puts Fitz in a position, tight ends are a tackle's best friend, you know? And JJ wasn't necessarily our friend, you know? So it does put me in a tough position. But I will say, even though you've made a very compelling argument, I do rule in favor of JJ Watt. Only because you may not have known this. You may not have known this. It was reported to us that Greg got a neck injury playing tennis last week. Directly from the source. He got a neck injury, strained a little something in his neck playing tennis last week. So I don't know if Greg's in great shape either. And so if they're both not in good shape, one's playing tennis, the other's wakeboarding and sitting on heated toilets, I'm going to go with JJ.
Okay. Okay.
Are you okay on that?
I trust your ruling.
Thank you.
Don't agree with your ruling, but I respect it.
Well, listen, Fitz, we want to rule on more of these situations, all right? We want cases brought to us. So tell us what you want Judge Whit to rule on by tweeting at Fitz and Whit on the X, please. Send us your arguments.
Can you just call it
things
the X? Can we call it Twitter, please? Let's don't call it
Okay,
the X.
Twitter.
Okay, thank you.
We want to debate whatever NFL topic you guys want to. Just send us what you want us to go at us. Fitz will defend himself. You guys can go at Ryan Fitzpatrick on here and try to prove him wrong. Judge Whit's ready for you.
And he probably is going to rule in your favor, not mine, as we saw today.
Well, that's more because I think you're just a little bitter at JJ right now. Did he not call you back? He didn't text you? What's the deal?
No, I love JJ.
Okay.
Let's move on to Thanksgiving talk here. What is your favorite thing about Thanksgiving?
Oh, man. Favorite thing about Thanksgiving. I'm going to directly do myself some justice as a big fella and go to food. I'm going to say, for me, a lot of people are going to get into their favorite sides, their favorite things, but I'm going to be honest. I'm a dipper, and I like to combine things. So
You're
when I say dipper,
too.
I'm a gooser and a dipper. So when I say dipping, I don't mean tobacco. I like a good roll, whether it's, homemade, some kind of homemade roll, maybe it's a Hawaiian roll, little ham, little turkey, maybe some dressing and mashed potatoes in there. And I like soaking it in the gravy. It's one of my favorite. They just a good dip in the gravy, eat it like that. I don't really need the plate. I just like to kind of make sandwiches that have a little bit of everything in there. If you remember, Chef Chang made us a sandwich last year on Black Friday. It's unbelievable with everything in it. That's actually how I eat it anyways. I like all the fixings in a sandwich, in a dinner roll, making my own little mini sandwiches. That's probably my favorite thing about Thanksgiving is sitting around with the family and just eating until absolute misery and watching some NFL football, of course.
Nice. Mine is sitting with the family, yes, but I also have a retreat. I can also escape outside because I love deep frying turkey. We've done it.
I was about to ask you if you cooked.
Well, I deep fry the turkey. It gives us more oven space. I've been doing it for the last 7 or 8 years. It allows me, I have to man the station. It's dangerous. You've got really hot
I don't get close to
oil
those
out there. And so I avoid a lot of the politics and the family fighting and the conversations that happen inside because I'm manning the station outside. Now people will come, we'll get in a 5-minute conversation, then they'll leave. They'll come 5 minutes of conversation.
That's my favorite kind of conversations.
I'm telling you, this is a cheat code for Thanksgiving. Deep fry your turkey. You've got to set it up. You've got to be out there. You've got to keep a watchful eye on it. And even as the oil, when you're done cooking it, the oil is cooling down, you still got to be out there. So just make sure you have a TV or something that you can put it by.
I love that.
Yeah, that would be my advice.
Well, let me ask you this, Fitz. What are you thankful for this Thanksgiving?
There's a lot of things. I think we're both very blessed with beautiful families and kids and awesome wives. And, the thing, I'm going to get a little sentimental here. I'm thankful for you, Andrew. I am thankful for you. I'm thankful for this podcast and us being able to start this with our friends at Wave and just kind of rekindling our relationship the last few years. We were teammates 07, 08, but you kind of lose touch over the years. And
you left me hanging in a fight. But
dude,
other than that,
I left you hanging in a fight. I didn't get fined back in our Cincinnati days, and I wouldn't fight now either. But I do enjoy these moments that we now get to spend together. We get to spend an hour together, just rehashing old times and living up our TNF lives here on the podcast. So I appreciate you, buddy.
Thank you, buddy. That was awesome.
What about you? What are you thankful for?
I was thinking about this. You start thinking of Thanksgiving, what you're thankful for. I'll tell you this. Obviously, our families, we know that one. I was telling Melissa this week, I actually was flying home from our game in Cleveland, and I know we've talked about how special that was. But I was telling her that it's unique. I think you play football, you're in this locker room your whole life. You walk out of the game, and for a lot of football players, let's keep it real. There's not a lot of soft landings, and you've done one thing your whole life, and you don't know what you're going to do next. And there's a little fear there. I don't care what we've done or how tough we think we are. There's a fear in what you don't know. And a lot of guys struggle out of the game. And so really 3 years into doing Thursday night football, I was just telling her, that going to that game in Cleveland, we're all like in a mood to go there because it's Cleveland. It's supposed to be nasty weather. We get a chance to watch Jameis Winston, who no matter what adversity, positive, negative, you name it, that he's had to face, anything in his career, he has now met it at this point in his career with such joy, just being authentically who he is, that he lifts our spirits. It snows. It turns into an epic game. We end up doing snow angels together. We end up in the hotel lobby just hanging out. And that night turned into one of those nights where I can remember Richard Sherman and I having this awesome conversation with Al Michaels about just how thankful we are for him and like who he's been to all of us and to help us along the road. And then a conversation with Amy Palcic and Carissa Thompson and Sherman and I, like just talking about how just our lives and how we've gotten to lean into each other the last couple of years. And I walked out of that night and I thought, man, how cool to step away from the game, not have any clue what you're going to do next, and to end up with, forget just the people who are on our show, from Tony Gonzalez and yourself and Taylor Rooks, and now Albert Breer's with us, and Kaylee Hartung and Kirk Herbstreit, now Michaels, and everybody that's involved that you see on a camera. But all the people behind it, and all the people that are producers and just, you know, every week we're with on the road, I couldn't be more grateful and thankful for that family. And that it's really a true bond that feels like a whole other family to me. And I just, you know, walked out of Cleveland thinking, man, those snow angels to me represented more than just playing in the snow. It represented like we're a bunch of just buddies and friends that are like getting to do a show together and acting like little kids. And I thought that was so neat. So I'm really thankful for that kind of moment and really where, you know, my life has found itself after 3 years being retired now.
Nice. Well, you're going to be thankful this week too, because we get to go on the road again to Kansas City for Black Friday football. Now that was a lot of fun last year as well. There's going to be a ton of deals we'll unlock and a ton of different things we'll do in our pregame show, but we get to watch the Raiders and the Chiefs. Last year, if you remember, on Christmas, the Raiders beat the Chiefs 14-20.
What you and I said they needed.
Which is what they needed, a little butt whooping, and hopefully that straightened them out and allowed them or helped them win that championship. But a couple cool things that might happen while we're there. Travis Kelce, he needs
come on, Kels.
One receiving touchdown to set the Kansas City franchise record, and you know who he's tied with right now, our guy
TG, baby.
Yeah, so that would be really cool for Tony to be in attendance of that too, because we know how much he loves and respects Travis. And then Travis, he would join Antonio Gates as the only tight end to be a franchise's outright all-time leader in receiving yards and receiving touchdowns, which is a pretty crazy feat for a tight end. And obviously that's a pretty good company to keep. So we're looking forward to that and getting out there and Chef Chang, whatever he has to cook for us. We're looking forward to all of that good stuff.
There's no doubt. And Fitz, our first ever Thursday night football flex game. Come on, what are you talking about?
People are mad. People are mad.
They've
already made plans, Whit. They already made plans.
I know. It's an unfortunate part of it, but you know what? Hey, listen, it's our first time. We're not going to let people rain on our parade. We're excited about it. It's a chance to flex a great game. You know, the Broncos at Chargers in L.A. That means I get an extra round at Bel Air this year. You know, you get to go have dinner at your club. It's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it.
It's always all about you and your happiness, you know?
Hey, listen, it's not just my happiness. Let's talk about what today is, Fitz. You turned 42 today, Fitz.
I did.
Happy birthday, buddy.
Thank you. You want to know what the best present I got was?
What was it?
Cute little Ruby, my 7-year-old daughter, had a loose tooth, and she made me a card that said happy birthday, and in the card it said, Dad, for your birthday, I'm going to let you pull out my tooth.
Oh, that's the best gift ever.
I mean, it's my favorite thing in the world to torture these children and to yank these teeth out. So she will be getting a visit, hopefully, from the Tooth Fairy tonight, probably with some extra change in there. Not just the typical $2, $3, $4, $5, maybe $10 tonight because of how willing she was to let her father pull out her tooth on his birthday.
Well done, Ruby.
Yeah, cute little Rubes.
That's awesome. Good job, Rubes. Well, thank y'all so much for watching and listening. Hope y'all enjoyed it. See you next week.
Peace.